The Tomb. The Tomb was written by H.P. Lovecraft in June 1917, a period when he was becoming involved in amateur journalism. It was his first piece of fiction since he wrote The Alchemist in 1908. It first appeared in the March 1922 issue of The Vagrant and in Weird Tales in January 1926. Gervais Dudley, a patient in a mental hospital, tells how he became obsessed with a crumbling mausoleum he discovers while on a solitary ramble through the woods. The neglected tomb is the final resting place of an extinct family called the Hydes. Only 10 years old, Dudley is unable to enter the padlocked tomb, but keeps vigil outside, and one night, after hearing voices from within, he returns home and in a trunk in his attic finds the padlock key. Entering the tomb, Dudley finds an empty coffin, quote, adorned by a single name, which brought to me both a smile and a shudder, end of quote. Turning out his light, Dudley lies down in the empty coffin. Dudley leaves the tomb a changed man. He displays an intimate knowledge of past events and speaks like an 18th century gentleman. He haunts the ruins of the Hyde mansion, which had been destroyed by a fire that killed but a single man, and he also develops an intense fear of thunderstorms. Thunderstorms? Reminds me of the lurking fear. One dark and stormy night, Dudley has a vision of the Hyde mansion during a night of revelry, in which he is an active participant. A massive thunderbolt sets the mansion aflame, paralyzing him with terror. Quote, and then a second horror took possession of my soul. Burnt alive to ashes, my body dispersed by the four winds, I might never lie in the tomb of the Hydes. Was not my coffin prepared for me? I would claim my heritage of death, even though my soul goes seeking through the ages for another corporeal tenement to represent it on that vacant slab in the alcove of the vault. End of quote. As the vision fades, Dudley finds himself restrained by two men employed by his father to keep watch on him. A lightning strike has unearthed an antique box. Among its contents, Dudley sees the porcelain miniature of a young man with the initials J.H., and as he looks at it, he says, quote, the face was such that as I gazed, I might well have been studying my mirror. End of quote. Dudley is told that he has never entered the tomb, but after his confinement, an aged servant breaks into the vault and finds an empty coffin bearing the name Gervais. Dudley's final words, quote, in that coffin and in that vault, they have promised me I shall be buried. End of quote. Some thoughts. I was surprised to find how early this story was written. Lovecraft returning to fiction after a decade-long hiatus. I detect the influence of Poe, as Dudley seems a typical Poe hero. Quote, from earliest childhood, I have been a dreamer and a visionary. I have dwelt ever in realms apart from the visible world, spending my youth and adolescence in ancient and little-known books. End of quote. And that sounds like a Poe character to me. The entry for the tomb in an H.P. Lovecraft Encyclopedia features a comment by William Fulwiller suggesting the name Hyde is a reference to Stevenson's The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Both stories involve doubles. Doubles, not devils, doubles. Jekyll and Hyde, and Gervase Hyde and Gervase Dudley. So, is this a case of madness or possession? Was Gervase Hyde killed in the fire, and did his, quote, soul go seeking through the ages for another corporeal tenement to represent it on that vacant slab in the alcove of the vault? End of quote. Well, what do you think? To me, this yarn is a precursor to a more famous Lovecraft story involving both a double and possession, the case of Charles Dexter Ward. If you are familiar with both stories, would you agree? And it occurs to me that the thing on the doorstep is also a tale of possession and doubles. Doubles, not devils, doubles. So, dear listeners, please share your thoughts on the tomb in the comments. If you haven't read the story, I put links to it in the description. Let's celebrate Cthulhu Christmas early by reading H.P. Lovecraft stories in chronological order. Our next story will be Dagon. Dagon. Links to it in the description as well. And till midnight, Cthulhu Fatagan. Cthulhu Fatagan.